জয় রাধা মাধব কুঞ্জ বিহারী গোপীজন বল্লভ গিরিবরধারী গোপীজন বল্লভ গিরিবরধারী যশোদানন্দন ব্রজজন রঞ্জন যশোদানন্দন ব্রজজন রঞ্জন যমুনা তীর বনচারী যমুনা তীর বনচারী জয় রাধা মাধব কুঞ্জ বিহারী জয় রাধা মাধব কুঞ্জ বিহারী হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে হরে জয় রাধা গিরিধারী রাধা গিরিধারী শ্রী রাধে জয় জগন্নাথ জয় বলদেব জয় সুভদ্রা জয় গৌরনিতাই জয় গৌরনিতাই জয় জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় জয় গুরুদেব জয় জয় গুরুদেব নিতাই গৌর হরি বল হরি বল হরি বল হরি বল। হরে কৃষ্ণ প্রভুজি, ধন্যবাদ প্রণাম।
So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 16, verse number 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Once again, 4:16:11. Chapter entitled Praise of King Prithu by the professional reciters. Durasado Durvishaha Asannopi Viduravat Naivabhi Bhavitam Sakyo Venaranya Utito Nalaha Durasado Durvishaha Asannopi Viduravat Naivabhi Bhavitum Sakyo Venaranye Utito Nalaha Durasado Durvishaha Asannopi Viduravat Naivabhi Bhavitum Sakyo Venaranye Utito Nalaha Durasado Durvishaha Asannopi Viduravat Naivabhi Bhavitum Sakyo Venaranye utito nalaha. If you want to recite this verse, you can do so, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Durashado durbishaha asanno api viduravan noiva vibhavitum shakko viranani uttito nalaha.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I am also trying.
Okay.
Durashodo durbishaha asannopi viduravat naiva vibhavitum shakyo vinaroni uttito nala. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Durashad durbishoho ashanyopi viduravat noiva vibhavitum shakyo vinarani uttita nalaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat
Hare Krishna.
Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Durashado duribishaha ashannopi viduravat noiva bhavi bhavittum shakyo venarani uthito na analaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So someone can read the synonym.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Durasha, unapproachable. Durbisha, unbearable. Asanna, being approached. Api, although. Viduravat, as if far away. No, never. Eva, certainly. Avivavitum, to be overcome. Shakra, above. Vena, King Vena. Aroni, the wood that produces fire. Uttita, being born of Anala, fire. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. And someone can read the translation. Translation and paper by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. I am trying, Prabhu.
Yes, ma'am.
King Prithu was born of the dead body of King Vena as fire is produced from Aruni wood. Thus King Prithu will always remain just like fire, and his enemies will not be able to approach him. Indeed, he will be unbearable to his enemies, for although staying very, very near him, they will never be able to approach him, but will have to remain as if far away. No one will be able to overcome the strength of King Prithu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Motherji. Hare Krishna. And someone can read the purport as well.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, let me read.
Yeah. Sorry, Hare.
Purport Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arani wood is a kind of fuel used to ignite fire by friction. At the time of performing sacrifices, one can ignite a fire from Arani wood. Although born of his dead father, King Prithu would still remain just like fire. Just as fire is not easily approached, King Prithu would be unapproachable by his enemies, even though they would appear to be very near him. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thanks, Hare Krishna. Jnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalak chaksurunmilitamena tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutala Srimati Radha Govind Goswami Niti Namine. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutala Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisheshunyavadi Paschata Deshatariणे. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So thank you all the devotees for joining us this morning. So we are reading the prayers of prayers to Prithu Maharaj by the professional reciters. Very nice prayers. And earlier on we saw Prithu Maharaj being compared to Surya, as powerful as the sun, because the sun has got does two things. One is equally distributes sunshine. So similarly, he will be compassionate to all living beings equally. And then also it's mentioned that he will be. So he hasn't manifested all these qualities, but he is definitely going to manifest in the future, and they're glorifying him based on what they had from the Muni Prajot, what it's mentioned earlier on, what they had from the sages. So they're glorifying him, just like he's saying that, or they're saying that he's just like the sun, who will take all the water for 8 months and then distribute it back, give it back to the citizens. Like, that it takes the water, the sun evaporates the water for 8 months, and then the 4 months rainy season, it just gives water back. So similarly, the king, Prithu Maharaj, will take taxes, but when there is time to be distributed or given back to the citizens, then he will give back to the citizens whatever it takes. So not like nowadays, that so much taxes they take, the governments, but when it comes to giving, they don't give it to everyone. And when there is need, people still struggle. So he's not going to be like that, like these kings or these leaders. And also it's going to be like, all these are mentioned earlier on. So he is going to be like the sun, and he's going to be like,
Varuna.
well, he's going to be like Indra. When Indra doesn't distribute or doesn't give rainfall, then he will do it himself when there is drought. So, and he's going to be so as powerful as the sun, as powerful as is going to be like moon, and always smiling and moon-like face. So all these things, and now it's mentioned that he is going to be like fire. Fire. What do we know about fire?
It's unapproachable, Prabhuji.
Unapproachable. So fire is unapproachable, or
Burns everything.
burns everything. Whatever goes into the fire burns everything to ashes. And so we can't say this fire is small, and it's okay. Small fire is okay. Big fire is dangerous. No, a small fire can turn into big fire. That it starts with only like very small spark, and then it becomes very huge fire. So fire is, of course, very dangerous. And here it's mentioned as Durasada. So Durasada means unapproachable, Prabhupada writes here. So for the enemies, he is going to be like, he'll be very, very fearful to approach. This fire is very, very fearful. No one approaches the fire. I mean, it's not that people want to go closer to fire. They want to always stay away from the fire. So enemies will always stay closer to him or away from him.
Away from him.
Yeah, will stay always away from him, because to the enemies he's going to be like fire. He's going to be like fire to the enemies. And so that's why it's mentioned here, unapproachable. It's not that he is not going to be approachable to the citizens. He's going to be approachable and very tolerant to the citizens as well. As mentioned earlier on, he's going to be like earth. But to the enemies, he's going to be like fire, unapproachable. Not approachable means the enemies will not go closer to him, will not approach him. So, and then also, Durvishaha means unbearable. Unbearable means his
To withstand what one can tolerate or withstand.
yeah, just like when Lord Krishna when he was a little child, then one demon took Krishna because initially Krishna became very heavy, and Mother Yashoda had to leave Krishna on the ground, on the floor, and then Krishna became very light. One demon came and took Krishna into the sky. Which demon was that?
Trinavarta.
Trinavrat. And then after that, and then Krishna, he started going up further with Krishna. Then after that, Krishna became very heavy. That Krishna became unbearable to
Carry.
The demon.
to carry to the demon Trinavrat. So unbearable. That sometimes mentioned that Prithvi can bear everything. Prithvi can hold everything, except what? Prithvi doesn't mind, the weight of all the mountains. Yeah, not pap. So mountains and oceans and trees and people living on her. She doesn't mind carrying them, but she cannot bear the
Sin. Pap.
sin. So
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Trishul Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So unbearable, that becomes unbearable for. So so the enemies, he is going to be unbearable. Who?
Pitu Maharaj.
Pitu Maharaj. Like fire. Fire. Can you bear the fire? Can you have? Can you? Fire is easy to
No.
bear.
No.
Fire is just like unbearable. Fire is like unapproachable. Fire cannot. It's better to stay away from fire. Fire cannot be. We can't think that okay, fire can be easily controlled. I can control the fire. We know that once sometimes the fire starts in the forest, it goes on for months and months. We know that big building, that 9/11 in America, that big what do you call those?
Skyscrapers.
Skyscrapers, Trade Center, those two buildings, they were the fire started, of course, through those terrorist attacks, and then the fire, the people who could actually were trained to fight fire, those firefighters, they went and they also destroyed. So fire is so dangerous. It's it's unbearable and it's unapproachable. Similarly, he is going to be like that for his enemies. And also asan api viduravat. Duravat means far away, duravat. And asanna api, although close, asanna api, but duravat. What does that mean? Very near, but they will stay far away. What's the meaning of that? Near, but stay far away. But
They can't approach.
Yes,
They can't approach, so they remain silent. They can't approach with their attitude, whatever the intention they have.
Yeah, they
So
stay away.
Stay
away from it. Yes. Just like fire is everywhere. Fire is in one's body as well. Fire is in one's body as well. We know that our body is made up. Bhumi Rapanalo, Ayakamana Buddhireva Chamkaritame, Binna Prakriti Ashtada. Lord Krishna says these are my separated energies. So Bhumi, Rapa, Anala, Vayu. Anala is mentioned here as well in this verse. Anala means fire. Body contains fire. There's different kinds of fire there. The fire is there in the body. Even Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham Vaishvanara Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita Pranapana Chame Annam Chaturvidam. So I have become the fire of digestion and I digest all the four different kinds of food. Lord Krishna says this. So there is fire. So fire is near. We're all near the fire, but we still want to be
Away
from the manifested fire, we want to stay away. Isn't it true?
Yes.
The fire is manifested, we start to stay. But fire is very close to us. So similarly, he's going to be, all of them will start to be away from him. It will be like manifested fire. The enemies will stay away from him. And naiva abhi na eva abhi bhavitum sakyam. No one will be able to. What is the meaning of this? To overcome. Just like fire. Is it? Can you overcome fire? Can you control fire?
No.
No. So similarly, he's going to be like fire, who cannot be overcome. Sakya, you're able to. And Vena Aranye Uttito Nalaha. Vena Arani. So how did he appear? He just appeared like from Arani. Arani is a special wood from the, like by rubbing that wood, fire is manifested. So that's called Arani Manthan, is something like that. Arani Manthan, by Arani Manthan, the fire is manifested. So from Arani, just like how did he become manifest? How did he become manifest? Like Prithu Maharaj, he manifested from
Vena's hand.
Venus the hands.
By
So
churning.
By chaining. So by chaining, by manthan of his hands. So he's from Ven. Ven is like the Arani, and he is like the fire. Fire manifested from Venus body, King Venus body. So Vena Arani Uttito means born of Anala. He's just like fire born from Venus body, which is compared to the Arani, the Arani wood. So this is talking about how powerful Prithu Maharaj is going to be. So we know that kings were very, very powerful previously, and especially Prithu Maharaj, because Prithu Maharaj is incarnation of the Lord, and there's very special incarnation, Satyavash avatar of the Lord. And here we see there has been very, very powerful kings. Then enemies could never approach them. Enemies will stay up away from the king. Even the good thing about Ven Maharaj was Ven Maharaj was powerful, but he was not. What was wrong with him?
He's rogue and he's thief.
He was a thief himself. He was a rogue himself. He never followed dharma. He said, I am the supreme. Everyone worship me. So he was powerful. So he was very powerful. There's no doubt about it. The kings should be very, very powerful, but at the same time, they should follow the religious principles. They should follow the path of dharma. But he did not follow the path of dharma. But he was powerful. So here, Prithu Maharaj is powerful, and of course, it's mentioned earlier on. We have discussed it already, that he would follow dharma. He will make others follow dharma. He will protect dharma, and he would punish anyone who did not follow dharma.
Yes.
But when it comes to Ven never did that. And we know that there has been so many great kings in the history. We see, for example, when we talk about Pandavas. It's mentioned that they did not care about themselves when it came to fighting with the enemies or protecting the citizens from the enemies, or protecting the citizens from the miscreants. Like we see that there's an example in the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, it is mentioned that when the Pandavas came back, because they were, that they tried to burn the Pandavas in in this house made up of special kinds of material which could easily burn. So that Laksha Griha. And then they escaped from that and they went, and then, you know, the story Bhima getting married to Hidimba. And then after that, they go to the Draupadi Swayamvar, and they get Draupadi as the wife. And then after that, they come back to the kingdom and they're given this Indraprasth, not actually Indraprasth, it's kind of Prasth. And they were living there very happily. And Naraji comes there. Naraji comes and Naraji says to them, because this is Vaishampayan asking, or actually Parikshit Maharaj's son. Who's Parikshit Maharaj's son?
Janmenjay.
Janmenjay is asking Vaishampayan, how could the Pandavas live so happily with one wife? How could they live with Draupadi? Because 5 Pandavas. How can they live with one Draupadi happily? So then Vaishampayan actually explains that once when they were living in Kandapuram, Naraji comes and Naraji says that you know, there has to be some rules, like you are living with one wife, but there has to be some rules if you want to live happily. So and then he says, Naraji says that there was two demons, very, very powerful demons, and one's name was, does anyone remember? 2 demons, and they fought.
Sund and Upasund?
Yeah, Sund and Upasund, and they were sons of Nikumba, who was descendant of Hiranyakashipu. Nikum's son Sund and Upasund, and they fought with each other just because of they were both attracted to one Apsara called Tilotama. So they both were attracted to one Apsara called Tilotama, and they died. They killed each other. And then the Pandavas, they're asking, Yudhishthira asking, who's this Sund and Upasund? And then Naraji tells them the story that these 2 brothers were very, very powerful, and they lived, they ruled the same kingdom, they lived in the same palace, they slept on the same bed, they ate from the same plate, they sat on the same throne together, and they were without each other they couldn't live even for a moment, and they will be happy with each other and will very nicely talk to each other and never become harsh to each other. So they were very, very happy with each other, and they had obtained a benediction also. They wanted to control the whole planet, so they wanted to become immortal. So they took they did austerities, and then they got the benediction from Brahma that we want to become immortal and we want to assume any form that we want to. Give us this benediction. And Brahmaji said, okay, I can give you the benediction. You can change any form that you want to, but as far as immortality is concerned, I can't give you this benediction that you can't become immortal. So then they said, you can choose the way you want to die. So he thought, I want to become immortal, so there must be a way. So just like Hiranyakashipu, you know what Hiranyakashipu said? He wanted to become immortal. Brahma said, you cannot become immortal. So what did he ask Brahma to give? What kind of benediction you asked for?
No one can kill, means he will not be killed by the animal, by the man, he will not be killed outside and inside of the home. Means every types of
daytime or nighttime.
Yes, daytime, yes.
No weapons.
No weapons without, no weapons will kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he took all the benedictions. So
Benedictions.
he took all the benedictions possible so that he wanted to become immortal. But we know that Brahma said, no, it's not possible. Yes. So Brahma said, yes. Okay, Brahma said, Tadastu. I can't give immortality, but this kind of benediction I can give. Yes. Brahma gave him the benediction, but we know that he was killed by Lord Narsingadeva, right? And he thought he will become immortal, but he couldn't. Similarly, he thought, let me ask for benediction. What benediction did he ask for? He said, you cannot become immortal. I can't give you the benediction of immortality. So how did he get through that? He said, give me the benediction there. Oh, they said, give us the benediction there.
Then we can kill each other. Only the way to be killed.
We can die from each other. Because they thought they'll never be able to, because they were so close to each other. As we discussed, they slept on the same bed, they sat on the same throne, they slept in the on the same bed and ate from the same plate. They sat on the same throne, and they were always everything in agreement. They never had any conflict at all whatsoever. So they thought that we will never be against each other. We will never fight with each other. We'll always be together. So he said, okay, we want the benediction that our death will only come when we kill each other, but not by any other means. So they thought they became immortal. They thought that they became immortal. But then what happens is they started giving suffering to all the people in this world, and then they all went to all the devatas went to Brahmaji. Brahmaji said, you create a beautiful apsara. And so we know that the person who's expert at creating, his name is Vishwakarma. Then every part of the body he paid attention to, even like every bit of the body, he paid attention to when creating this beautiful apsara. And like Tilottama means every part, even the till component was of the body was given attention to when creating this lady, and her name became Tilottama. What's her name?
Tilottama.
Tilottama. And then Tilottama with these two brothers were had conquered the world and very all enjoying with other apsaras, and they were drunk. And then that time Tilottama comes, and Tilottama was very, very beautiful, and she was she was created to bewilder those two. And then when Tilottama came, then one brother held one hand, the other brother held another hand. He says, me first, me, I will accept. And she was trying to attract both of them, and both of them thought this Tilottama is meant for me. That's meant for me. So she was looking in both the directions, in both the brothers. And then we know that these brothers ended up fighting with each other because of Tilottama. And then they fought so much, so badly, because they were equally powerful. They actually killed each other. And the Pandavas, Naraji says, this is how they died. So you should have some rules. So then the rules were made that, if only every year one Pandu stays with Draupadi, and if anyone at any particular point when one of the Pandavas is with Draupadi, another in a secluded place, another Pandava comes, then they have to go to the forest for 12 years. That was the rule. And then what happens in once Arjuna was approached by one Brahmana, and the Brahmana's cows were being stolen. And cows were stolen and being stolen by thieves. And then he comes running to Arjuna and says, our cows are being stolen. Please protect my cows. Please protect us. You are the king. You are taking 1/6 of the taxes from us. You need to protect us. You need to protect us. And then Arjuna was in a dilemma because Arjuna's weapons were Draupadi and Yudhishthir was at that time. They were in a secluded place, and that's where the weapons were placed. And Arjuna was thinking, if I go there, I will break the conditions. And then if I don't go, then what happens?
I am failing in my responsibility as a
I'm failing in my responsibility as a Kshatriya in protecting the citizens from the enemies, from the thieves and the rogues. So he decides to go, and then we know that he goes and takes the weapons and he goes to fight and he defeats the thieves, and then he comes back. And then Yudhishthir said, so right, no, you don't have to because it's fine with me. But he said, no, I have to follow. So he went to forest for 12 years. We can see that the kings were like that. They did not care about their family. They did not care about themselves. But when it came to following the rules, they followed the rules, and they always protected the citizens from the enemies. So we can see that's a very nice example there. So Prithu Maharaj is not an ordinary king. He's the Supreme Lord, the Saktaveshwatar, and he becomes the king. So he is going to be like that for the enemies as well. We see Lord Ramachandra, we see that Vishwamitra comes to take Lord Ramachandra and Lakshman to protect, and they were quite young, and the father actually says yes. Of course, father did not want to initially let the sons go, but then when Vasishji said to Raja Dasharath that he is capable of killing himself, Vishwamitra is so powerful, but he is taking your sons, so please do send your sons, and they will get the credit of killing the demons, and of course he is very, very merciful, so your children, your sons will greatly benefit by being with him. So he then was sent. So we see there are so many examples in the scriptures where the kings will protect the citizens, and they will be as powerful as, like, this king is going to be as powerful as fire which is unbearable, unapproachable, unbearable, and what else?
Cannot be overcome.
Huh?
Cannot be overcome.
Cannot be overcome. So all these things are because of the fire, the qualities of a fire. So the king should be like a fire. King should be like a fire here, in this case, Prithu Maharaj. So he's being glorified. We know that ordinary, sometimes in this world, some leaders will be glorified. This leader has got this quality, this leader has got this quality, this leader has got this quality. But they may not have those qualities. They are only glorified just to get the votes. Sometimes the leaders will glorify themselves. Maybe, I have done this, I have done this, I have done this. And sometimes they will just exaggerate. They will just try to, get or fool the innocent people and make them vote for them. And they will, before the elections, they glorify themselves. And then when it comes to the actual performance of the duty as a king, they don't actually do their job. And then again, when election time, they do that just to fool the innocent people. But the leaders we find in the scriptures are not like that. And especially Prithu Maharaj, if we glorify Prithu Maharaj in this sections of the Srimad Bhagavatam, he is being glorified. This glorification is beneficial to the person who glorified, and also we are listening to the glorification. We are reading it, and we are also benefiting because this is to do with the incarnation of the Lord. So, any questions or comments? And if not, then we can have a little bit more discussion on this topic.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Though it is very small text and there's translation, but a lot of things inside. And you have brought up the examples of Sund and Upasun with the Apshara Tilottama. It was very unknown to me, but we could know that from you. It's so nicely exemplified with the proper references to understand, which is unapproachable. Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yes, we can see there's anything else anyone wants to add to that? Anyone wants to say anything about or any questions or comments? So we can see there's another example in the scriptures. For example, when we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, what happens? Like there's a Brahmana, and the Brahmana's sons keep dying. Do you know that story from the Srimad Bhagavatam? And then this Brahmana has been approaching, and who was the king at that time?
Arjuna, approaching to Arjuna.
Yeah, later on, Arjuna actually had this, and then he approached Arjuna. Arjuna actually vowed that I will protect your son. His sons were dying. How many sons had died?
Three sons?
No, much more.
Much more, okay. And he took to Krishna.
Yeah, 9 had died. Yeah, and the 10th
okay,
one.
9.
So he went and then he protected, and he vowed to protect, and then he said, if I'm not able to protect, then I will give up my body. And so we can see that he had Arjuna. Of course, we see another case which we have discussed. He doesn't care about himself. He still goes and takes the weapons, his Gandiva, and then he fights with the rocks and the thieves. And then that's example. And this one again, here we see that he actually vows that I will protect your son, says to the Brahmana. And then we know that he couldn't do it himself, but he had a very, very good friend, and that friend is
Krishna.
Krishna, yeah. So he had a very, very good friend who was Krishna, and then that's why he was able to take that vow. So one who is very, very powerful, or one who is a great devotee, then they can be great kings. Like we see Parikshit was very, very powerful because he was a very great devotee. He was a Mahabhagavat, protected by Lord Krishna. We see that Yudhishthir was equally great as well. We see that all these kings, so we have Lord Ramachandra being the king, Prithu Maharaj, they're all they're personality of God. Lord Ramachandra is God, Lord himself, and Prithu Maharaj. But we see also that Lord's representatives like Parikshit Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj, and we have many, many other kings like Ambarish Maharaj. They're also very, very great because they had taken shelter of the Lord, and they were as the direct representatives of Lord, and they followed the Dharma. And that's why we can see they were equally powerful, and they were able to defeat their enemies as well. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Yes, sir. What are some of the important things you learned from this text?
Prabhuji, a good king is like a fire.
A good king is like a fire. Good king is like a fire. Yeah, very nice. Just like
King does not care for himself; he cares for his citizen.
Yeah, king For king, the citizens come first.
Yeah.
So for Lord Ramachandra, we can see Sita ji was first, the family member, or citizens first.
Citizens.
Citizens first. He was like ideal king. You know, for him, citizens came first. Yes. Anything else?
And it is the king's duty to see that not only he follows the religion, but all the subjects also follow the religion. Otherwise, who doesn't follow the religion, he punishes them also.
Yes, correct. Yeah, the king punishes if king has got a say, has you know, like in the kingdom, some citizens not following dharma, king also punishes them. So they are also given punishment. So yes, the king follows dharma and makes others follow dharma as well, and protects the dharma. And yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you. Very nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you very much for the nice class highlighting the one more thing I think what you related was.
Yes, Prabhuji, I can't hear you. I think can everyone hear, Prabhuji? Can everyone hear Poshak Madhav?
No, Prabhu. Prabhu, can you come near your phone or near your laptop so we can hear you?
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Better now? Okay. Yeah, I think what Prabhu highlighted was the king's energy only drives everything. Starts at the top. Everything starts at the top. The king, because king is like the fire. The fire only drives. Fire is the energy which drives everything. Anam Vaishwanaro Bhotva in the Lord says. So without the king's fire, nothing will move in the kingdom. So without the leader's energy, nothing else will happen in the kingdom. The subjects on their own, they cannot do anything. So the leader's initiative and leadership and energy.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. So what you are saying is also the just like fire is the source of energy. so he's the king is like the source. So you're saying that that's driving everyone to whatever they do, they get that energy from that top source. The king is like the source, fire. Yes, that's very nice point, because the Lord Krishna says also, Yad yad acharati shreshta tata devatara jana sayat pramanam kurute loka. Yeah, so whatever the Shrestha king or leaders or guru or teachers or parents, they are all Shreshtas. Whatever they do, then the
people in general follow.
Itara Jana means the common people. They follow whatever they do, whatever standards they set. So yes, that's correct. They get that's the main source. Yeah, that's a nice point. And we can also see there's another thing that's mentioned about fire. Another thing that's mentioned about the fire is that the fire is so powerful. And one thing about fire is fire can consume the dirty things and also clean things.
Yeah.
Isn't it true?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes,
but it's not affected by the dirt or the dirty things, or by clean things. It's not contaminated. So fire, that means sometimes the king has to punish people. So sometimes he has to give punishment to the miscreants, and also sometimes he's rewarding people, rewarding or punishing, but he's not affected by that. He stays still. He's not affected by the sinful reactions or affected by the glorification, or he's not affected when he's glorified. So that's why it's mentioned that he's like the earth, tolerating both different kinds of situations. Fire, like a fire. That's fire. Fire is not contaminated.
Yeah, because these are all karma. That's why.
And accordingly, he gives the punishment to those subjects, the citizens. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Anything else?
We came to know about Aruni wood.
Aruni wood.
Yeah, I never heard about that.
Aruni.
Aruni, yeah.
It's mentioned that Aruni Manthan actually creates fire. Like Arani, when that rub is rub, that word is rubbed, Arani. So that actually the fire is manifested from there.
Okay.
So his, yes, Prabhu.
In regards to the Varnashram, we see like in the history of India, when the Varnashram system was flourishing, it was a monarchical system.
Yes, Prabhu.
There were like, kings and princes in different regions.
Yeah.
Would India have to retort back to, a monarchical system in order for the Varnashram sort of concept to be implemented?
The thing is, thank you, Prabhu, Karun Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Thank you. So the Varnashram system, of course, previously, of course, Vedic system is not democracy. It's not a Vedic system. Democracy is not the Vedic system. We know that Vedic system is the monarchy system, or where there is a trained king who will always rule, trained person. And nowadays, of course, we know that, and at that time, we know that there will be no one actually against. It will be it's not that people will vote. It's not really vote. It was decided. It was by selection, not election. Was it? What is by? It was by
Selection
and not election. Like intelligent people will choose. Like in this case, we saw that when the sages, they found that there was no king, then they decided to give Ven the chance. So thinking that he will improve, but he did not, and then they decided to kill him. And then they had to look for another king, and they chose changed the body of Ven, and then from that came Prithu Maharaj. So then it was by selection, because they knew the type of person who should be the king, the sages, and because those are given in the scriptures. These are the qualities of a king, because if you look at Bhagavad Gita, then the nature of a Kshatriya is given, the nature of a Vaishya is given, and a Brahmana. All these things are given. It's not whimsically we accept someone as a Brahmana or someone as a qualified Kshatriya. It has to be supported by the scriptures. So based on that, they had chosen they would select a right person to be the king. But nowadays we know that it's people who don't even know what dharma is. Anyone and everyone will go have the right to vote, and they choose. Sometimes they choose someone and they are not even qualified, and then after some time, the same people will be voted out by the same people. Same people who vote them will actually vote them out. So this is not actually Vedic system. The Vedic system is the monarchy system, or where there is a qualified king. There was a king who will rule and qualified king. So democracy is never something which is mentioned in the scriptures.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Prabhupada on this point has told earlier in these places, in earlier places, that in case of the Varnashrama system, the two things were there. They, as you have rightly pointed out, Prabhuji, that the king had the qualities and they had the proper training as well. But nowadays, unfortunately, those who are not qualified, they are being elected, and those who are electing are also unqualified. So but previously, the Brahmanas who are qualified people, they were selecting with their approval, the kings took power. And so they were both competent and qualified.
Yes, correct. Yeah, that's very true. And then they would be there to, like we see Arjuna himself going to fight. We see the Kauravas, the Pandavas themselves going to fight. They will be protecting. They don't need security guards to be protected. Like now we know that before the election or after, when they become the king or the prime minister or the ministers, they will be protected by security guards. And after they'll be going in bulletproof cars. And then after they retire, then their government resources will be used for them to protect them. And they will be, they'll be going in bulletproof cars, especially the bigger countries like America. And they will be having security guards around them wherever they go, because they couldn't even protect themselves. They needed protection. But previously, the kings not only were capable of protecting themselves, they were also capable of protecting others. So we see one person, single, like Dhruv Maharaj, fighting with thousands of yakshas at once, alone. Lord Ramachandra fighting with so many alone. And then, Arjuna single-handedly defeating the whole set of Kauravas, when they were in the Virat kingdom. So this is the type of the Kshatriyas we had previously. Not someone who would hide in one corner in some bulletproof place, and then others will send some untrained innocent people to fight on behalf of them. Not that kind of things, but previously they would be in the battlefield, and they will be the ones who will be leading others. So such Kshatriyas we had. And they will be trained, and they will, of course, they'll be very, very qualified. They will know what dharma is, and they will know they will be very, very skillful. They will be able to defend themselves and defend the citizens. That's why the word Kshatriya is used. Kshatriya means one who is able to protect others from Kshatriya. Protect others from hate. That's what Kshatriya means. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Girdhari Bhagwan ki jai. Shri Shri Gaurikar Bhagwan ki jai. Shri Shri Sitaram Hanuman ki jai. Bhagavat Mahapuran ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all the devotees for joining us.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. His Grace Madhav Govind Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you. Thank you all the devotees, and thank you also Raj Prabhu for joining us. He's joining us from Canada. Hare Krishna. Thank you. And all. Thank you. All the other devotees, thank you so much for joining us, and Poshek Madhav Prabhu and Karan Prabhu and Abbas Prabhu, Anesh Prabhu, Archana Mataji, Draupadi Mataji, and Kirtana Mataji, and Navani Khan Prabhu. And,
thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all the devotees once again, and also I can't see some of the names. Thank you so much, all of you, and Sita Anandani Mataji, and this Prabhuji, who's using non-Braj Prabhu's?
Raghavir Prabhuji. Raghavir.
Oh,
Raghavir. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank
you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you all the devotees once again. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.